Welcome to Write That Down, a Probetus podcast. I'm your host, Matt Fisher. To my left is the person who was making these signals at me.
It was me.
As we're waiting to go live for the first time, he's like,
So we're going live,
this
and
is Phil, by the way.
you haven't pressed the record button.
Yeah, so
Which is the whole point
But there's
of us
like,
being here.
if I could show you, there's like a 77 buttons here, and it's just like this. It's like, and I'm like, just tell me, man.
I knew what he meant.
But Chrissy did.
I totally knew. I should have just reached over.
This is Chrissy, by the way.
Hi.
And then across from me is Mark. But I don't know. Did I figure it out finally? Did your telepathy make it work?
Yeah, I mean, eventually. You kept pointing different faders one at a time.
I guess I did. I was like, is the music too loud? What's going on? Like, did I not hit the...
I'm just glad you got it before we rolled, because today's a big day.
Oh.
It's a really big day.
And why is that?
Because it's a new season of Write This Down, and we've been looking forward to this for a long time. But even more exciting is that we're live.
We are live.
So we've got thousands of people tuning in right now, getting ready to hear you drop the wisdom.
Yeah, there's definitely tens of people possibly thinking about watching this. And our wonderful manager, that's what we're going to call her, is in the studio with us today, who told us when did we find out we were going live with this? Was it 2 days ago?
It was a while ago.
Yeah, like 2 days?
No, it's
A week? 24 hours, that's all you... Hey, you don't have a microphone back there.
If you're really talented, Matt, if you're true talent, you could be told right before going on stage and you just do great.
Yeah, well, it was after I printed this, so now I've got this other thing. We're going live today, exclamation point. Click the button below that says, oh, it's a bell. Click the bell next to Probetus Promotions and select all videos. So every time we go live, you guys will be notified and be able to watch us. Because our goal is to go live with this all season. So
That's right.
what do you think about that, Chrissy?
Whoop, whoop, live.
Yeah, live. All right.
Like
so
always.
we're live.
I'm gonna log in
Okay.
to the YouTubes, and I'm gonna subscribe from my personal account. And so while I'm recording, hopefully my phone will just be like buzzing, like, "Hey, watch yourself," and I will.
All right.
You gotta
I
watch
do.
yourself.
Yep.
Neato. All right, so we're live. We'll get past that now. We're gonna do our favorite thing we like to do right away, and that's called checking in, see how everybody's doing. And we haven't been together for a while, and I thought I would throw out this question to everybody because we're in the summer here now in North Dakota, and I feel like it's one of those things where in the summer we're like, oh, it's so hot, I can't bear it, it's hot. And then we get to, December and it's like, oh, it's so cold, I can't bear it. And it's like, well, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Like, if you had to pick hot or cold, what is it for you? And knowing like, okay, yes, we are blessed enough to have hopefully places we can go to that have air conditioning or they have heat if it's hot or cold, but like, you got to be outside for a little bit. Okay, Phil, would you prefer it hot or cold?
Hot. That's always my answer.
Okay.
And it's
Do you have a reason?
Yeah, because of where I live. We got a short window, and you know what? Deal with it. Enjoy the hot.
Okay. So Phil,
Yeah.
we got one vote for hot because apparently we're taking a poll now. That's okay. Mark, how about you?
I say bring on the heat and the flamingos.
And
Okay.
the flip flops.
And the flip
Don't
flops.
forget those.
Can I tell a flamingo story?
Not yet. So we got. I'm already shooting Phil down. Like first episode, it's like, no, Phil, you can wait.
That's how the season's gonna go.
We'll get back to you. Yes, Phil, please tell your flamingo story. So Mark's wearing a flamingo shirt first off.
So this is a story from both myself and Mark. So when we were in Vegas this year, remember this, Mark?
I thought what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
This one's worth sharing.
Does Mark know what you're about to say?
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
okay.
in Vegas, and he's like, let's go over to the Flamingo and check out the Flamingo display. He had been there previously. I've never been to Vegas, so I'm like, yeah, let's check it out. So we walk in, and we're trying to find the Flamingo area, and there's a security guard, a nice-looking guy, and after he had to break up the fight between me and Mark and then the two really big guys, after he broke up the fight, we said, hey, real quick, while you're here breaking up the fight after we dominated these dudes, where the flamingo's at, he's like, oh, well, it's actually down this direction, but they're not on display right now. The flamingos are actually in quarantine.
Are you kidding me?
And we're like, What are you talking
What
about?
happened to them?
Some sort of bird disease, and so
Bird
they
flu.
pulled all the flamingos out. And he's like, "There's a couple ducks down there, but
couple ducks.
He's like, "You guys
have a
got
duck story.
you guys got ducks in North Dakota, so you probably wouldn't care." And Mark is like, "You're right." So we left.
Mark,
That makes me think of so many things.
Was that entire story accurate, Mark?
Yeah, for the most part.
All right. Like, okay. We'll
The
go
part
with that.
about being in the fight.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
that
was
was
the real
mainly the most accurate part. There may have been flamingos, but the
I was
fight
just glad that Mark is a former bodybuilder and former line dancing, Celtic line dancing. So
Right.
he
Quick
had
on his feet.
He was very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
All right, so we got two hots, and I will say this about Mark: he literally keeps flip flops in his car year round, just in case heat breaks out at some point and it gets above. What's your number? 40, where you put on the flip flops degrees?
Oh, as long as it's not major snow, I can wear them when it's like 0 degrees.
Okay, yeah. So we got hot for Phil, hot for Mark, Chrissy.
Okay. Well, first I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story too.
Well, I didn't
You
get
know, I
Okay.
send out these
Okay.
notes.
Wait, no,
every
stop.
week,
Stop.
and it's like
Stop.
Matt's not.
I went to the zoo with my children this summer.
Okay.
Did you see a flamingo?
No, they had ostriches. Those things are big. Anyway, we went to see the giraffes, and it was raining. And the gal said, giraffes are pretty prone to lightning strikes. So they're probably
Like a giraffe,
yeah,
like
yeah.
over. I mean, they are like way the
Really
heck up. In
tall.
it. Yes, I get
Hashtag
that.
So-
exotic animal problems.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
So
no
she's
doubt.
like, they're really prone to lightning strikes, and they don't like the rain. So they're probably not going to come out today.
But
So-
you were out there in the lightning.
I was out there in the rain.
And the lightning, apparently.
And the lightning. And the penguins were out. 2 of them were swimming around like crazy, and all the rest were at the gate wanting to go in.
Okay.
Okay, so now
Thanks
I'll
for
tell my
that
story.
great
Yes,
story
I know.
about
The
giraffes and
flamingos
lightning.
reminded me.
How about hot or cold?
Hot, because if it's hot, that means I can go camping.
Okay.
And I can go to the zoo, and maybe I can see the giraffes next
I
time.
think for all of you, you just did a flat, fantastic job of missing the entire point of my question. Because you're like, oh, summer, you know, we have winter a lot, and I like, you know, all the things in the summer. Yeah, fantastic. But would you rather sweat your ass off, or
Matt, we're live and you
Oh, yeah,
said
we're
another
live.
word.
language.
man.
would you rather sweat your butt off, or would you rather freeze your butt off?
Nobody wants to freeze.
How far are we going? Because if we're dying, like I would
No.
choose hypothermia over burning.
You go into the house afterwards, or you know, whatever shelter you have that is quality and like temperature controlled. But you're like, I got to be outside for X amount of minutes, and I'm gonna get uncomfortable.
Heat.
I
Okay,
will.
we got hot
I'll
again.
change my answer.
What?
Oh, okay.
Who are you?
I will put on a blanket. And
What are you going to do about your frostbite?
He said it wasn't a death question,
Yeah, frostbite isn't death though.
but hypothermia would be a great way to go if I had to choose because
Now it's turned into how,
You just
Because you
how
just
would
like
you
go
rather
to
die?
sleep.
you slowly shut down and you start slurring your speech like I'm doing right now, and then you just go to sleep
Sounds terrible.
and it's okay.
All right, so I'm done.
I'm a
Okay.
giraffe.
So
What
we
in?
we went from like, okay, I'm gonna ask this legitimately, I thought easy question, and we started it with, well, I like the summer because it's fun, and then we got to the other side of it, like, well, this is how the best way to die is, and I'm going with cold because I'd rather die that way. So, dare I ask, Mark, knowing the parameters, like you got to be outside for a little bit and be uncomfortable, what would you rather be, hot or cold?
I would rather be hot.
Okay, all right, so hot wins. Hot wins.
Well, what was your choice?
I don't get a choice.
What?
I just asked the questions.
All right.
Well, you asked me.
I
That.
gave you
that
a
was
chance.
that was nice of you.
Thank you.
I would rather be cold,
So now it's 50-50.
except for my Marfan's disease.
What is that?
That's something I made up, but
Oh.
it's not good in the cold. All right, fantastic. So we're gonna read our write that down quote for the week, and this week the quote is, well, should I? Since we got some maybe people who don't know why we even have these quotes.
Yep,
or-
explain it to
Okay,
them.
I'll explain it. So
Then not good. That way I know why we're here.
yes.
Explain it to Mark.
Mark just got in the car and like, where are we going now? Oh, yeah.
I thought we were going to the Dairy Queen.
Ooh, we should stop on the way back to the
Miracle
office.
treat day.
Perfect for hot days, Matt.
Yes. Hot eats,
And
cool
it's
treats.
cold if you like cold.
And if you watch one of our previous episodes, we do like to randomly endorse companies who send us no money
No.
nor treats for said endorsements. So apparently this episode is sponsored by Dairy Queen. So how long ago was it when you guys started? 2020. So it was like 3.5 years ago. Mark and Phil both started at the same time. And I knew Mark really well from our previous jobs that he was in, and we became friends. And Phil and I knew each other cursorily. Is that a word, Phil? Cursorily?
Peripherally.
Peripherally on the surface. We knew who each other were, but it wasn't like Mark and I. So most of the time I'm like
Matt.
full of crap. It's
just
like
call it Matt.
nobody thinks I'm being serious because I'm probably not, and what I'm saying means nothing
Time
to
out.
anybody.
Now we're being sponsored by Metamucil because Pat is full of crap.
So these guys start, and I've said for a long time one of my favorite movies is Van Wilder, and there's a character on Van Wilder named Taj, who was Van Wilder's just kind of little buddy who wanted to be Van Wilder, and Van Wilder would say, write that down, and Taj would have a little notebook and write it down, and be all of this, fun stuff that he would glean from Van. So I would, anytime I thought I said something smart, which was never smart, but I thought it was maybe, I would say, write that down. And everybody would look at me and be like, shut up, Matt, we're not writing that down. But then I said it one day, and I was in Phil and Mark's office, and they shared it, and Mark probably made the face like, shut up, Matt. But Phil got a notebook, and he wrote it down. And I was like, well, this intrigues me.
The power you must have felt.
What did I say? Because I when I say something, I usually black out and like go to the next thing, so I didn't even know what I said. And I'm like, well, I must have said something really good. So he wrote that down. That's great. Maybe I'll start saying it more around him when I have these great thoughts. So
One amendum to the story is that I had written several down before you noticed.
oh, really?
And so
see, I didn't know that.
When you saw me say like, wait, are you actually writing this down? And I was like, yeah, I've got a few in here. And you were floored. You couldn't believe it.
So we've got this notebook of these quotes, and then obviously we started doing the podcast, and then it was like I was really like gonna come up with some
Pressure's
doozies.
on,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, not even really, because they come to me every day. So I had these great thoughts, and I'd pop into Phil's office, and I'd be like, Phil, and then I'd give myself a second. I'd look at the notebook like maybe this is gonna be something great. And then I'll say it, and Phil will then roll his eyes because he's gotten to know me. And it's like, okay, I'll write it down because we have to have content for this stinking podcast. So the story goes on, and we've had, what episode are we on now? I don't know, like 27, 29, 30 or something like that.
Well, what will be unique about this season is that we were going through the notebook recently, preparing for this season, and there are 9 quotes left.
Yeah, and we've had 9 episodes for the last 3 seasons, so it just kind of worked out. And I mean, kind of sad. It's probably going to be our last season because this is it, man.
I don't know, like with this new going live, I think we might pick up a couple sponsorships this year.
Oh,
Do you think we should send out a shout out to the one person who's probably watching us live right now?
Hi, Mom.
Chrissy's mom.
Hi, Mom.
okay, so we got Chrissy's mom probably watching. I literally don't know anybody in my friends or family who would probably be watching this. So
My mom will watch it. It won't be live probably, but she'll watch the recording.
right.
Thank goodness you
Hi,
pressed
Phil's
record.
mom.
My mom normally watches afterwards too, and my brother.
okay.
Yes.
So here's the quote for today. And this is kind of going back to because we've talked about this specific type of instance before, but the quote is, they're going to ask for a unicorn, and we're going to have to give them a horse with a cone on top. Now, they
Yeah.
are our clients. Our client. We all work in the logoed merch, swag, promo industry, whatever it's being called today. And there's like 900,000 products, and we put a logo on, so people think we can do anything. So, and a lot of times we can, but sometimes we can't.
But you don't tell them it's a horse. I mean, like throw some glitter on it.
Yeah. Well,
The
well,
cone.
Yeah.
The cone and the glitter.
is
You
the
got to glitter it up.
Right. So Phil, do you have any idea like what would have brought me to saying this or
Yeah.
why?
This one I can't remember the specific project, but essentially what we had to do is we got another just unusual request. We found something that was close, but not something that was exact. And so we basically came up with a solution. You know, how can we get this as close to what the client asked for? And so I remember presenting back to you, Matt, the solution, and you're like, well, they asked for a unicorn, and you gave them a horse with a cone on top. And it was just really funny. It's a funny way to say it, but it is true, because there's a lot of projects where you can get super close to the mark. But if you just do one extra thing, sometimes it has to be creative or artsy. You know, you're throwing glitter like Chrissy was saying, but sometimes you can give it back to them. They're like, wow, that's dang close. Good job.
And do they even know it's like close?
Sometimes. I mean, I would say the glitter.
Or I mean, do they think it's a unicorn? Like, they think we found it?
I guess it depends on how you present it.
Ooh.
Like,
What do
are you
what do
walking
mean by
it
that?
across the stage?
Okay,
Or
now
are you
I'm
just shoving it out the door?
now I'm really confused. Are we talking about a real unicorn, or are we talking about like logoed stuff?
Can I provide an example?
Yes, please.
I'll give you a real world example.
Oh.
You don't want it?
Of a unicorn, or like
Oh.
a project?
So here's a project
Are unicorns real?
in
Okay.
Yes.
practice.
Oh, we'll get back to that. All right. So the project.
Yeah. So if somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to get this mural of a unicorn dancing with flamingos on the side of my Yeti cooler, and they bring it to Chrissy, and she goes,
I can do that.
okay, I'll work on that. And the client might be envisioning, hey, she's going to call up Yeti, and Yeti's going to be like, great idea. We're going to print it right now directly onto the cooler. But what's really going on is we've made a custom sticker. A glorious,
Yeah.
full color, outdoor rated vinyl sticker.
So that curtain that's behind Phil right
Yep.
now, he's completely removed
I'm
it
making-
in our industry.
Right now,
there's-
I'm taking the. I'm sorry. At least it's not live. but you get a nice high quality sticker. You're able to put it in a place that Yeti would refuse to do. They don't have the capability to do, but we can give you what you've asked for, even though standalone that product didn't exist.
You know, similarly, I have an example I think maybe makes a lot of sense. So, for example, somebody wants something shaped like a cloud. Now, I can do that. But if it's not the right item, I could take something else and sublimate cloud pictures on it.
Oh yeah.
So it might be square, but it has a cloud on it.
So they want a cloud shaped
They want a
stress ball.
yeah.
But you give them a square.
with a cloud
cloud
printed on
picture
it.
on
That's
it.
terrible.
I
That's
like
that
it.
is a horse with a cone.
all right. So
This all sounds shady to me. I go right to the company because Probitas is integrity and honesty.
That's
I'm
what-
not doing stickers.
yeah. So like in Phil's example, which I do appreciate the example because it's a good example, but we've shown that we're like liars and we don't like
No,
really do this
that's
stuff.
not true.
You wouldn't conceal it
and
from the
B,
client.
We've really torqued off Yeti now.
No, what you
So-
say,
No.
you tell the client, you're
I'm
like,
just
okay,
kidding, Phil.
this exact item doesn't exist, but
Yeah.
what I can do for you is you never say no
Here's
without
the
offering
solution.
a solution.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to convey. I'm sorry.
No, you did great. I was
Oh,
just,
Matt,
I was just
hold
trying
on.
to be funny.
I just got a call.
Oh yeah, Mark.
yeah,
please.
it's from HR.
Yeah.
They want to visit with Phil after the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
nice
Yeah.
knowing you.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me.
Earlier, I talked about
you've at
Jeff.
least got nine episodes left. So
I will
like,
give you my notebook before I leave,
no.
or maybe
the
I'll
show
keep
isn't-
it and sabotage the season.
Oh,
Take that.
it'll be called "Write That Down, Phil."
So
Well, you know what? Our moms aren't going to watch your show,
Yeah.
Phil, so we'll still be ahead of you viewership.
so you brought up clouds,
too.
Chrissy.
Yes.
And I didn't think I was gonna go here, even though I wanted to. This is just so I'm like borderline elderly because I still had cable, and everybody in the world is like, oh, we got streaming this and that, which I did as well, but I still had my like cable TV so I could have my live shows
Your
and my
Matlock?
sports and my Matlock and my
Perry Mason?
yeah, in my People's Court. I needed to see that live.
That's awesome.
Because as I'm sitting and eating dinner with Abby at night, and the kids are finally like calmed down, and we have some time alone. Like
you've got
I
your
like to
eating
have,
shirt
like to- yes, I do. I do at that point have my eating shirt on. I like to just watch nonsense drivel. But if I'm gonna watch if I'm gonna stream a show, it's like, well, that's something I want to pay attention to and watch. So I'm like, I have to have live TV in order to stream it, and I ended up like watching 3 shows anyways, and it was some stupid cooking shows, and then The Office, which I've seen all of them 1,000 times. So I'm like, okay, I'm really going to do this. I'm going to get rid of cable. And then I do that, and I've got a Samsung TV, and I found out that Samsung TVs, at least mine, has something called Samsung TV built into it, and it's got 265 live channels, channels that have commercials and stuff, but they're all like random channels that nobody's ever heard of before. Like there's a channel called Dove Channel, but like I'm not even sure if it's Dove chocolate or Dove soap.
Or
But
the
it's
bird.
a Dove has sponsored this channel, and I think
Is it like Hallmark?
Yeah, yeah, like a whole bunch of those channels. But there's a channel called the Bob Ross channel. Do you're all familiar with Bob
Who's
Ross?
Bob
right?
Ross?
Sheriff.
Just kidding.
No, everybody. Like if you're
Have you
of a-
watched the documentary?
So even my kids know Bob Ross because video gamers are putting like Bob Ross avatars like into Minecraft and stuff. So they're like, "Oh, look at Bob Ross," and I'm like, "Who are you kids? How do you know this stuff?"
it is amazing.
Well, I will tell you this: my Roku TV does the same thing. It's
you
called
have-
Roku TV.
Okay, but do you have the Bob Ross channel?
I don't know, but I'm gonna go home and
You
look.
should look it up. So it's like every episode that Bob Ross has ever made. So and he did like 30 seasons of 13 episodes a season. So it's
Did you
unbelievable.
know that he was
Oh.
painting Alaska?
Yeah, he lived there
his
for 12
memory?
years. Unbelievable.
I thought you were talking about Bob Ross, the former sheriff.
Oh, that's Bob Rost. Bob Rost. No, Bob Rost does not have a channel unless you watch public access TV on like Tuesday afternoons at 4
Sheriff
o'clock.
TV.
Well, that'd be Sheriff Schneider TV.
Well,
maybe he has them on.
reruns.
Yeah,
The Andy Griffith Show.
all the shows that have sheriffs.
Gunsmoke.
And Bob Rost.
Robin Hood, there's a very prominent sheriff featured
That is true.
in the Robin Hood legend.
Yeah.
The sheriff of Nottingham.
Okay. He is a sheriff, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyways, you said clouds, and that got me thinking of Bob
Okay.
Ross. And I can't look at like nature at all
I think you
anymore
need to
without
watch the
thinking about-
documentary.
Well, I don't know if I want to because I think
It'll
it's going to
ruin
be
your life.
sad.
Yeah.
Exactly, because I've kind of gotten obsessed a little bit, and
Then
I
you'd
did
be-
I did just a little bit of
It's
down the rabbit hole
tragic.
search, and it's like his widower or widow like took all of the naming rights and all that stuff,
it
and
was
his
his
kids
business
didn't
partners.
get anything,
Yeah,
and
it's
it was
tragic.
like yeah.
Don't watch it because then you'll be painting sad trees.
Yeah, and I
tragic.
want happy trees.
It
And
was
happy
funny
clouds.
though. Now, considering we're doing live television
Yeah,
right
and-
now,
Are we on TV?
It was interesting. A part of the documentary, he said, or his producer said that every single show, when he had 30 seconds left, he would put a tree right down the center of his, and she would freak out, like, "Oh my God, he's not going to finish his painting on time."
But he was literally a genius.
Well, yeah, he's a
like he
painting
knew exactly
whiz.
what he was doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mark Jensen, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I was just watching the TV screens.
Oh,
And it was kind of delayed. Oh, well. See?
oh
Look.
my! So yeah, the producer Paul gave me this thing that says the chats are on the monitor to your right, and then I kind of looked up and all I saw was a bright light. So Mark can see him. Did anybody say anything about?
Yeah. So
I would know. I was watching her pictures on the other show.
He was
No.
just looking at himself.
He was looking at himself.
thank you
like
for
a
reading
mirror.
that note because now I see the chats, and it's amazing. So
Does
he-
anybody have any questions
Yeah, he
for
said
us?
you don't need cable if you own a computer or phone. So he's further cementing the fact that you are
I'm-
borderline elderly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get it. Like I'm self-diagnosed. So, all right. We did talk about unicorns at one point in a previous show, and I will say, if this is your first time catching us, go back, check out some of our old stuff. There's some really good stuff. There's some complete garbage.
Oh, I want to do what they do
No,
on
there's-
YouTube. Wait, we'll post a video here.
Yeah. Okay.
Make a comment here.
Yeah.
I
Do
hate it
that.
because
It's
they're always
never
saying,
there.
make sure you like and subscribe. And my kids will beg me. They'll be like, can we please like and subscribe? And I'm like, no, I don't want this popping up in the algorithm ever again. No.
But
I like my subscriptions though, because then it's like all my favorite channels are right there.
No.
Yeah, and see, Mark, I don't know what they're talking about.
I guess I don't spend my money that foolish.
YouTube is free. YouTube's free.
Nothing's free, Chrissy.
Well, tell my kids that.
You gave them plenty of data for
Yes.
your,
Oh,
for
I'm
your
sure.
service.
So in one of our previous episodes, we talked about unicorns, and I think it had something to do with like, don't kill the unicorn because they're better off
Alive.
alive.
They're more valuable alive.
More valuable alive. So that said, does this have anything to do with that? This quote about unicorns and putting a cone on top.
I mean, the unicorn might still be out there. And every now and again, I've run into something where I'm like, oh, somebody had asked me for that once. And now it's here.
Do you trap it or do you?
Sometimes, yeah. And I'll be like, hey, remember when you asked me for that thing I didn't have?
Here's the crazy question, and I'm focusing a lot of this on you, Chrissy, because in our office you're literally known as the unicorn hunter.
Yes.
I mean, we had a potluck today because Chrissy was gone, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about why
Okay,
you were gone.
sure.
But she was gone and she brought unicorn cookies.
I didn't bring the unicorn cookies.
I thought you brought them.
No, somebody else did for me. I think it was Eric.
Oh.
Was it Eric?
It's probably Eric.
It's probably Eric.
He's thoughtful
He
like
is
that.
thoughtful.
Yeah,
Mark made rhubarb pie.
which was awesome.
cake.
Oh,
It was some of the best
Chrissy had
rhubarb cake
Chrissy
I've
had
ever
a
had.
coleslaw.
yes, barbecue ranch coleslaw.
I'm trying to think of what everybody brought. Dave brought a coleslaw.
No, it
No.
was a cheese dip.
Oh, Dave brought the cheese dip.
Were
There
you
two-
even there?
Katie brought the ramen salad.
I walked in late with my offering that I did. But there were two coleslaws.
Yes.
No, one was a ramen salad.
Yeah,
That was
ramen
Katie's.
salad's different.
They looked similar. So who brought the ramen salad?
Katie.
Okay.
Katie.
And then you brought the coleslaw.
I made the coleslaw. The
yeah, you made it
barbecue
and brought
ranch.
it.
Shannon brought the meatballs that turned into little smokies.
Yeah, amazing how that happened.
And I saw him this morning in complete frozen state. Sorry, Shannon. But they were delicious. Fantastic.
Kim brought the cookie salad.
Kim
from
brought cookie
Thompson.
salad, and
You brought the fried
Dave
chicken.
brought some dips.
Cheese dip.
Phil brought Klondike bars.
Phil made Klondike bars, homemade Klondike bars, right?
Yeah,
No.
you know what I did for them?
What?
I purchased them.
Yeah, he
What
purchased
would
them.
you do?
Whoa. Did you do that
Get
on
it?
purpose?
Get
I did that on purpose.
Yes.
That was like so smooth.
Matt
Yeah,
didn't
thank
even.
you.
It was
I
so
didn't-
good it
I
went right
didn't-
over his head.
Yeah, it was
Chrissy,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
she got me.
Yeah.
I got Phil.
So, and then I had to run home. I had to get the fried chicken out of the deep fryer. So I brought 20 pieces of fried chicken.
Did you make it in the air fryer?
No, because Katie wouldn't have eaten it then. Or at least that's what I should have done. Like I should have got it from Hugo's, which I did because they
We know.
have phenomenal fried chicken. And then I just brought it in. They had a nice big tin foil thing with me. Mark?
Hey, Chrissy.
Yes.
Great show. Dad is looking.
Oh, hi, Dad.
I saw that on the screen.
So
Oh, Shannon just commented, so she heard your comment.
Oh.
I'm watching.
see, I'm in trouble already.
That's
I'm,
amazing.
I'm probably not going to go back to the office today. So
Can you get to the point about why Chrissy was gone though? I feel
Oh.
like we're
yeah,
losing
so
the audience.
Chrissy,
You want me
why
to
were
say-
you gone
okay,
this
so
summer?
I was gone this summer. I left in June, and my family and I traveled to Indiana, and my husband did some schooling for his business. He is now a certified mobile RV tech. So hit him up if your camper needs fixing. He'll
That's
come
awesome.
to you.
What's the name of his company?
Adventureland Total RV.
And it's a play on words because your last name is
Lund.
yeah.
It's
so
amazing.
Adventureland.
Just remember, Lund like the fishing boat.
Yep, but without the money.
But like, it's not
It's
yet.
like going on an
Not
adventure.
yet. But then Adventure Lund.
Yep.
It's very clever.
Yep.
Yeah. So she actually got back on Tuesday this week.
Yeah,
And we had
we
a
got-
little,
we
we like to have
went-
potlucks at the office just to celebrate things and do fun things, and we
Yep.
like to eat. So.
So we went to Indiana. We were actually there for 4 weeks, and then we took a week through Michigan. And if you haven't been through Michigan, I highly recommend going to the UP,
Awesome. And that's Upper
the
Peninsula.
Upper Peninsula.
for-
It is gorgeous.
Awesome.
They call people who live there Yoopers.
The Yoopers.
I
Awesome.
was born in Bay City, Michigan. I was not a Yooper. I was Lower Peninsula.
You were in the thumb.
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy who says, I hold my hand up like this and I say, I was born in Bay City, and I point here,
And
right in Saginaw Bay.
I can attest
Right
that
there.
people in Michigan actually do that.
Oh yeah, they do the
They're
hand
like,
math.
well, and I'm just like, oh my God, they're doing it.
Yeah, and the hand is great because Lower Peninsula, you face it up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Upper Peninsula, you go like this, and you got the big little peninsula up there. You got
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin on your wrist. It's great.
I would like to say one thing that I didn't know until I got home is that we saw Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, and the surprise to me was I actually saw Lake Huron, and I didn't even know
that's
it.
cool. So you saw 3 of the Great
I
Lakes.
did, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, we're very glad to have you back.
Thank you.
And it means that we can do another season to write that down. So
But it means we can find more unicorns, which
Yes.
is what I'm
Well,
excited about.
I was hunting unicorns while I was in Indiana.
she was still working too from her patio.
Yep.
Yeah. So, well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you all for tuning in live, and for those of you who catch us on the watching us later recording. See, I'm so used to live now. It's like what's it called again? Oh yeah, the recorded version. You can go ahead and please click the bell, subscribe to us. We would love to have you follow us and see us next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, all.